Emotional and social development in middle adulthood. In middle age, adults grapple with their mortality. Realizing that half their lives are over, they adjust their goals. Rather than a midlife crisis, a transition or turning point happens for most. A minority do have a midlife crisis and are so distressed that they try to make up for what they see as lost time and go overboard with major changes. According to the Lifespan Development Perspective, a middle-aged adult can enjoy psychosocial health and life satisfaction by investing in biological, psychological, and social factors which lead to generativity or giving back to society. Factors like good health and exercise, sense of control and personal life investment, positive social relationships, a good marriage, mastery of multiple roles. Midlifers have more experience to draw from when coping with difficulties. They are more able to see the whole picture and identify the problems along with the possible effective ways to manage or solve them. These midlifers are rich in cognitive affective complexity, meaning they can mix personal strengths and weaknesses to cope confidently. Midlifers with plenty of practice of managing stress know themselves better and are more flexible in the face of life's curveballs. The psychosocial stage in Erikson's theory that is found in midlife is called generativity versus stagnation. It occurs in the 40s and 50s. The adult seeks to produce something of value or creative to give back to society, not necessarily having and nurturing children. The something could be teaching, nursing, medicine, charitable social clubs, religious organizations, art, music, etc. Generativity extends past the present generation and includes caring and guidance for future generations as well. Stagnation develops when in middle age and set in his or her ways, a person becomes absorbed in own needs and comforts. Helping other people is a way a person stays productive and reaps the positive outcome of generativity. Those highest in generativity are low in anxiety and depression. They are more likely to have successful marriages and close personal relationships with friends. They are more likely to want more than financial rewards from their jobs and to care about friends and society at large. They tend to be authoritative, caring parents. They are more tolerant and more skilled with communication. Their coping skills are more advanced. They're more able to use humor without offending others. Successful resolution of this stage produces caring. I've seen many a woman whose identity was inseparable from her role as wife and mother. This sets a stage for a depressed, in a rut, worrywart. Life should not be considered over when children no longer need her. She can reach out for other productive, exciting things. Her worth to society is just starting. You may not be able to control the bad things that happen to you, but you can control your responses. You can be happy in your misery or miserable in your misery. The choice is yours. According to Daniel Levinson's psychosocial development theory, middle-aged adults have 4 developmental tasks to accomplish within self in order to reach internal harmony. Each of these 4 has 2 opposing tendencies. The 4 tasks are young-old, destruction-creation, masculinity-femininity, and engagement-separateness. In the young-old task, midlife adults must reconcile not being young anymore and be able to feel young still while appreciate being older. Non-college educated men are even more disturbed by physical changes of aging than are middle-aged women who fear being less attractive. In the destruction-creation task, middle-aged adults grapple with mortality and concentrate on building a legacy for others instead of hurtful behaviors. In the masculinity-femininity task, gender identity becomes more androgynous. Men add more nurturing and compassion to their behavior, and women add more autonomy and assertiveness. In the engagement separateness task, career-minded people must pay more attention to internal matters of self and relationships, while caretakers up to now must pay more attention to contributing to the community or larger workforce, maybe by an advanced degree. Levinson wrote about life structures which are shaped by the social and physical environment. For many, life structures primarily involve family and work, although religion, race, and economic status are also important. Those with few options for promotion in their jobs may seek reward through mentoring younger employees, and may gain satisfaction from moving into the senior level of their families. For impoverished middle-agers, survival, instead of reflecting on a satisfying life structure, is paramount. George Vaillant proposed that middle-aged adults in their 40s and 50s feel responsible for protecting the positive parts of their culture and passing on these traditions intact to the next generation. They adapt a more realistic outlook than an idealistic one, realizing that many problems cannot be solved in their lifetimes. They tend to focus outward on longer-term society goals rather than on personal goals. The number of possible selves diminish in middle age, since the possibilities are no longer believed to be limitless. Instead of possible selves like rich and famous, movie star, athlete, important and happy, midlifers consider possible selves already in progress, like competent at work, enough money to pay bills, good wife and mother, good husband and father, stay healthy. Adults in midlife adjust their hopes and dreams to deal with disappointment so that there is something still to shoot for. Well-adjustment in middle age includes self-acceptance of both good and bad attributes, autonomy following own chosen standards over the expectations of others, and environmental mastery of diverse tasks. The trait approach to personality psychology assumes that individuals differ in their characteristic patterns of thought, feeling, and behavior. These patterns are called personality traits. Trait theorists try to measure and understand the ways in which people are psychologically different from one another, and in ways that allow individuals to be grouped according to these differences. Trait theorists believe there is little change in personality after age 30 years, and what change there is subtle. Personality traits are supposedly well fixed by age 30, but they can respond to the pressures of experience and environment. The more a person understands and accepts self and becomes skilled at handling problems, the less he or she needs to alter basic personality tendencies. As for the consistency of personality, trait psychologists claim that people remain who they are even when the situation changes. This does not mean that the behavioral response is of the same intensity in every situation, though. A friendly person may not be as friendly in court as he or she is at a party, but will remain friendlier in court than a non-friendly person. A cheerful person may not be very cheerful at a funeral, but will be more cheerful than an overall glum personality at the same funeral. Overall, adults may change the organization and integration of personality, but the underlying basic dispositions or temperamental tendencies are stable. Individual differences are very stable. McCrae and Costa in 1987 reduced personality traits to the Big Five with the acronym of OCEAN, O-C-E-A-N. O stands for openness, smart, easy to teach versus dumb, difficult to teach. Openness involves intellect, curiosity, imagination. So the range would be from imaginative, creative, original, curious, liberal on one end to down-to-earth, uncreative, conventional, uncurious, and conservative on the other end. Conscientiousness involves responsible, dependable versus undependable, negligent. Conscientiousness also includes organization. So the range under conscientiousness would be conscientious, hardworking, well-organized, punctual, ambitious, persevering, all the way to the other end, negligent, lazy, disorganized, late, aimless, non-persistent. E stands for extroversion. Active dominant versus passive submissive, bully or able to be bullied. Outgoing, energetic also fall under extroversion. So the range of characteristics would go from affectionate, talkative, active, fun-loving, passionate, all the way to reserved, quiet, passive, sober, emotionally unreactive. A in OCEAN stands for agreeableness, warm, pleasant versus cold, distant. Agreeableness includes kindness and sympathy. So the adjectives used to describe agreeableness can range on one end from soft-hearted, generous, trusting, acquiescent, lenient, good-natured, to the other end, ruthless, suspicious, stingy, antagonistic, critical, irritable. N in OCEAN stands for neuroticism, sane, stable versus crazy, unpredictable, complaining. Neuroticism includes negative emotionality, anxiety, tenseness. So the range would be on one end, worrying, temperamental, self-pitying, self-conscious, emotional, vulnerable, to the other end, calm, even-tempered, self-content, comfortable, unemotional, hardy. These 5 traits, openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism, are supposedly orthogonal, unrelated or non-dependent, separate or independent of each other. A score on one does not predict or tell about the scores of the other 4 essential traits. But those with high scores for extroversion also tend to score low on neuroticism. Due to settling down and maturity, neuroticism declines with age, and extroversion and openness to experience are stable and consistent throughout adulthood and may even decline. The other 2, agreeableness and conscientiousness, increase with age and experience. Midlife adults are caught in a sandwich generation where the children are nearing launch into adulthood and the parents are aging. Lots of movement is occurring with children marrying and new in-laws coming into the family, and then grandbabies to bond with, while at the same time parents are aging and needing more attention. Marriages tend to become better if midlifers put more stock into equal friendship and if they consider each other as their best friend. If couples find there is too large a gap between themselves with little shared interest, they will divorce. 10% of marriages end after 20 years of marriage. Financially, this burdens women more than men, but if the women cope successfully, they accrue a divorce-force independence and the self-reliance and ability to handle uncertainty that come with it. Through the trauma, there is growth as a person. Men are less likely to stay single long. Women generally assume the role of kinkeeper to keep the children and the grandparent generation together and in touch for holidays and events. Friendships in midlife are important. Women focus on feelings and sharing of problems. Men focus on sports, business, and politics. Midlifers are more selective with their choice in friends and have fewer of them. Family ties leave less time to maintain frivolous friendships. Job satisfaction increases in midlife, but burnout can be a problem, especially for service-oriented professions. Many people live 1/4 of their lives in retirement and begin retirement in midlife. Income drops by 50%, so financial planning is necessary. Plans for an active life are also necessary to prevent boredom and loss of purpose.